hundreds of dollars. I think they fully understand. Finally, we will have at our disposal additional revenues from unleashing American energy. The Institute for Energy Research cites a short-run figure of as much as $36 billion annually from increased energy production. Tremendous amounts of money. Tremendous numbers of jobs and tremendous amounts of money. And your electric bills will go down. There's something nice about it. Using these new funds, I will ask my Secretary of Defense to propose a new defense budget to meet the following long-term goals. We will build an active army of around 540,000. As the Army's Chief of Staff has said, he needs desperately and really must have to protect our country. We now have only 31 brigade combat teams, or 490,000 troops, and only 1/3 of combat teams are considered combat ready. That's not good for our country. I actually don't even like saying it, because plenty of countries are watching us right now, but we're getting shaped up very well.
What's on 6:30?
You're watching live satellite news. We will build a Marine Corps based on 36 battalions, which the Heritage Foundation notes is the minimum needed to deal with major
I'll call you in a little bit.
now, we only have 23. We will build a Navy of 350 surface ships and submarines as recommended by the bipartisan National Defense Panel. We right now only have 76 ships, and it's not enough. We will build an Air Force of at least 1,200 fighter aircraft, which the Heritage Foundation again has shown to be needed to execute current missions. We now have 1,113. Not enough. We will also seek to develop a state-of-the-art missile defense system. Under Obama-Clinton, our ballistic missile defense capability has been degraded at the very moment in the United States history and its allies we are facing the strongest and most heightened missile threat that we have ever had. You look at Iran, you look at North Korea, you look at terrorists, we don't even know where to look. We don't know where to look. But believe me, you can look all over. So we are going to do that. We need a form of shield. We want to protect our country. As these potential adversaries grow their missile program, U.S. military facilities in Asia and the Middle East, as well as our allies, are increasingly in range with the United States homeland, and we are really, absolutely, and potentially being threatened. And within 2 years, we will absolutely have a real threat. They'll be able to reach us so easily the way it's going right now. We propose to rebuild the key tools of missile defense, starting with Navy cruisers that are the foundation of our missile defense capabilities in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. The Obama-Clinton administration tried repeatedly to remove our cruisers from service, then refused to modernize these very old, aging ships. They're old, they're tired. We will start by modernizing our cruisers to provide the missile defense capability our nation needs. This will cost around $220 million per modernization as we seek to modernize a significant portion of these 22 ships. It will also mean jobs for our country. Okay? Jobs for our country. And And that is one of the big benefits. It's called jobs for our country, which we desperately need. As we expand our Navy toward the goal of 350 ships, we will also procure additional modern destroyers that are designed to handle the missile defense mission in the coming years. Accomplishing this missile rebuild and our military retool will be a 50-state effort. Every state in the Union will be able to take part in rebuilding our military and developing technologies of tomorrow. In other words, the workers and the jobs will take place throughout the United States. In addition, we will improve the Department of Defense's cyber capabilities. A new threat, a new problem, very expensive, and we're not doing very well with cyber. Hillary Clinton has taught us really how vulnerable we are in cyber hacking. That's probably the only thing that we've learned from Hillary Clinton. Which is why one of the first things we must do is to enforce all classification rules and to enforce all laws relating to the handling of classified information. Hillary Clinton put her emails on a secret server. Nobody knew about it, except for the man that was given the fifth. Remember? Whatever happened to him? Where is he? What happened to him? Where did he go? He led the fifth. That's the end of that. Ay, ay, ay. And I'll tell you, put her emails on a secret very late in the game, unfortunately, but this should have been done years ago. And you would have had nobody leave. Because two things are going to happen. Number one, they're not going to leave. That's about 95%. And then if they do, that's okay too, because we're going to make a fortune. Okay? But they're not going to leave. And nobody wants to do this because these people and these politicians are all controlled by the special interests that own the companies that want to move to other countries and make lots of money. And that's the way it is. So we're going to bring our businesses back. We are going to make sure that they're going to come back into New York and New York State. I'm tired. When I looked out in Suffolk and different places on Long Island, when I made that tour, I couldn't believe what I was doing. I've been here all my life. I couldn't believe it. The devastation that has happened in this state. I couldn't believe it. So we're going to turn things around. We're going to bring back our jobs. We're going to bring back companies. And we're going to start a lot of new companies, but not with an ad. We're going to start it by having low taxes and being smart. And I just want to tell you folks, I'm being 100% serious. You know, everybody would say, oh, don't bother with New York because Republicans don't win New York. I don't think that we're going to be in that position. I think we're going to win New York. I think we're going to do great in New York. Don't forget, Hillary, she's not a New Yorker. And by the way, in Arkansas, she's really not from Arkansas either, but in Arkansas, what do I have, a 25-point lead? I have a 25-point lead. You know, she is from Arkansas, but she's really from Illinois. So, I'm a real New Yorker, folks. I will say this. You will never get more of a New Yorker if you want a president than you're getting with me. So, I want to thank Mike. I want to thank the Conservative Party. I want to thank everybody in this room. I want to thank my son, Eric Trump, who's been working, and his wife, Laura. And we have so many supporters. But I just want to say to you, we are going to play so hard. We are going to play so hard and win. We're going to win this state. It's going to shock people. And by the way, you know, if we win this state, it's over. We win. Okay? We win. So I appreciate the endorsement of Mike always. I really appreciate being given this great honor by the Conservative Party. And I will tell you, Mike, get up here for 1 second. Come here. Come here. Come here. I want to thank you, man. Do a hell of a job for this man. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Carl. Well, and by the way, Hillary Clinton has been doing this for 35 years. Now she says she can do it. She doesn't have a clue. Doesn't have a clue. Our debt to our men and women in uniform is eternal, always will be. To all of those who have served this nation, I say so strongly that I will never, ever let you down. We will protect those who protect us. It's very simple. We will protect those who protect us. And we will follow their example of unity. We will work across all racial and income lines to create one American nation. Together, we will have one great American future. Our potential is unlimited. We will be one nation under one God, saluting one American flag. And by the way, we love our flag. America will be a prosperous, generous, and inclusive society. We will discard the failed policies and division of the past and embrace true American change to rebuild our economy, rebuild our inner cities. They need help so desperately. And rebuild our country. We will bring back our jobs, and we will not let our jobs go to other countries. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America
Great again.
greater.
No.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
No.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're watching live satellite news.
The doctor said it was ADHD, and she told us about the symptoms.
Chunky every night All-Star League. All right, Odell, you're up. I'm going with the big fella. Mitch Greenwald. He's a welder, volunteer fireman.
Platform into real change for America.
Hillary will keep us on the destructive path our country is headed. We cannot let Hillary complete Obama's transformation of America. We need to make America great again. We need Donald Trump as president. And it starts with your phone call to 800-370-0801. We need millions of phone responses in support of the Trump movement and to send a message that we will not let Hillary push her agenda on America. Call 800-370-0801 now and press 1 to take our unity pledge to show your support. Time is running out. Join the movement by calling 800-370-0801.
Hillary Clinton says that she can't remember what a C in brackets stands for. Everyone in positions of government and in WikiLeaks knows it stands for classified confidential. And in fact, we have already released thousands of cables by Hillary Clinton. Here she is, Clinton. See, that's her signature, Clinton, with the C in bracket right there. Wow. Thousands of examples where she herself has used this C in brackets and signed it off. We might put out some teasers I don't want to promise anything because you have to see how the formatting goes, but we might put out some teasers as early as the next week or the week after.
Julian Assange, founder of WikiLeaks, now at the center of this 2016 presidential campaign, saying there may be more shoes to drop, or as he says, there likely will be in the Clinton email scandal. We're back with the panel. Charles, it's interesting that we are now at this point that, with perspective, as Doug McElway showed earlier in the show, this guy was not well respected or looked at. He's a cyber criminal, was facing charges in his home country, and now he's being interviewed on many channels, including this one, and at the center of this campaign.
Look, it's disturbing to think that our election could hinge on the actions of an accused rapist hiding out in the Ecuadorian embassy in London on the one hand, and the man who in one way or another is likely releasing the information that WikiLeaks is in turn releasing, a former KGB agent and a thug who runs Russia. It's not a very savory proposition for American voters, but I think either side has to be a little bit careful. The Democrats are rightly afraid of what shoe could drop. On the other hand, the expectations are building that there's a bombshell. And if there isn't, I think it'll be a huge advantage for the Republicans. On the other hand, she has painted him as a Dr. Strangelove madman. All he has to do is show up at the base and not froth at the mouth. And
Donald Trump.
He'll have won it hands down. So either side, the expectation management here, I think, is pretty much out of control on both sides.
Mercedes, about Julian Assange.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, between the Russian hackers, Assange, the amount of influence and power that these individuals are having over our election process is scary. I mean, at the end, we got to think about the fact that Assange is able to go on national television, make his case, talk about these potential emails coming out. And what does Speaker Pelosi do, for example? She sends Speaker Ryan a letter urging that the Republican candidates do not use hacked materials. So it's causing this paranoia in the political system right now. And I think that, I think it's obvious that we need to be concerned about
I
this.
want to play the soundbite just to give you a different context. This is Hillary Clinton back in 2011 talking about Julian Assange and the WikiLeaks case.
I think that in an age when so much information is flying through cyberspace, we all have to be aware of the fact that some information which is sensitive, which does affect the security of individuals and relationships, deserves to be protected. And we will continue to take necessary steps to do so.
Interesting to hear that in the context of all that we're covering with the Clinton email situation. Dan, your thoughts on this and how it all plays out?
Well, I think there's no question, given what we saw from WikiLeaks at the time of the Democratic Convention, that the Democrats are rightly nervous about what further might come out.
Did you hear that?
You hear it, I mean, you heard it at the time. You heard it when what happened at the Democratic, or on the eve of the Democratic Convention. What more might be out there? I mean, there were rumors that there was more coming at the time. Nobody quite knew what it was, but there were rumors that it was going to be affecting the Clinton campaign or Hillary Clinton directly. I think at this point, given the damage that did, it didn't affect Hillary Clinton per se, but given the damage that did, they have to be nervous about it. Look at who we are dealing with on the other side, as Charles says.
When you hear Hillary saying that about secrets, you realize that this election...
When you ready to turn up, what you do, what you do.
There's nothing that you can see from 6 months ago that isn't a direct contradiction or sort of mocks
When you ready
what
to
the
turn
current
up,
positions
tell
are.
me
And
what
it's going to
you
get worse
do.
between now and November.
You should stay away from the emails. That's all I got.
I don't know. Bumper sticker and orgy of iron is.
I'm not putting that on my part, I'm sorry, Charles.
I got alliteration. I was working for it.
It was working for you. That's it for the ballot. Stay tuned. It took an act of Congress when a female World War II pilot has finally been laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery.
Who says your desk phone always has to be at your desk? Now with One Talk from Verizon,
Hi, Pete, I'm glad you called.
all your phones can work together on one number. You can move calls between phones, so conversations go where you go.
All I need is one
That's why
smack,
when you're not available,
one
One Talk
pack,
helps find the right person who
one
is.
pack.
Hi, John. So wherever work takes you, you can put your customers first. Introducing One Talk, another way Verizon connects your business.
One pack.
Learn how at onetalk.com.
One pack.
in the face.
One candidate offends everyone.
I don't know what I said.
The other will say anything to get elected.
I never sent nor received any information that was classified at the time.
110 emails contain classified information at the time.
America deserves better. Gary Johnson supports social tolerance, free enterprise, and a sane foreign policy. A government that stays out of your pocketbook and out of your bedroom. Gary Johnson for president. The honorable choice for a change. Purple Pack Inc. is responsible for the content of this message.
A car should only be measured by one thing. How it makes you feel. Introducing the all-new Q60. Infinity. Empower the drive.
Practice is over. Suit up for fall's biggest events. Right now at Men's Warehouse, buy one, get one free on almost everything in the store. That's buy one, get one free on suits, sport coats, pants, sportswear, and ties. Men's Warehouse. Rise to the occasion.
My belly pain and constipation? They keep telling me, drink more water.
Exercise more. I know that.
Try laxatives? I know. Believe me, it's like I've tried everything.
My crunch. The constipation keeps coming back. I know that. Tell me something I don't know.
Linzess works differently from laxatives. Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. It can help relieve your belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements that are easier to pass. Do not give Linzess to children under 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to 17. It may harm them. Don't take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor about managing your symptoms proactively with Linzess.
What's going on here?
I'm Val, the Orange Money Retirement Squirrel from Goya. We're putting away acorns, to show the importance of saving for the future.
So you're sort of like a spokesperson.
You're more of a spokesmetaphor.
Get organized at Voya.com.
Finally tonight, Elaine Harmon died last year at the age of 95. She left instructions to be laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. Thanks to a new law passed by Congress today, that happened. Harmon was a member of the Women Air Force Service Pilots, WASP, who flew non-combat missions during World War II. They did not receive military status until 1977. Eventually, they were eligible for burial at Arlington. Last year, though, that changed because of limited space. But Harmon's family fought the rule, and in May, President Obama signed a bill allowing women in Arlington. Fewer than 100 of them are still alive today. We thank them for their service and sacrifice. Thanks for inviting us into your home tonight. That's it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and still unafraid. On the Record with Brit Hume starts right now. Special Report Online begins in just seconds.
The presidential race tonight is a near tie. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton leads Republican Donald Trump by 3 points in a two-way race and just 2.1 points in a four-way race. That according to the Real Clear Politics polling average. 1 month ago tonight, she led by nearly 7 points in a four-way race. Good evening from Washington. I'm Rick Hume. Tonight, one big question concerns undecided voters. Fully 13% of voters polled say they don't back either major party candidate, yet at least, according to a new Wall Street Journal poll. Among them, 52% are suburban voters, 33% whites with a college degree, and 48% are people who hope the Republicans will continue their control of Congress. 79% have negative views of both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. For some thoughts on this tonight, we start with former senior advisor to President George W. Bush, Karl Rove, who joins you from New York. Hi, Karl. How are you, Britt? I'm well, buddy. Listen, what do you think about it? This looks like an unusually high number of undecideds at this stage. Am I right about that?
Absolutely. Since this summer, we've had roughly half again as many undecided voters as we've had in any election since 1992. And we also have had two different kinds of undecided voters. We traditionally had, in presidential election years, undecideds who are not very partisan. They tend to be a little bit more non-white, a little bit younger, a little bit less affluent, but they look like the rest of the electorate generally, except that they don't take in much information, they don't really care about politics much, and they make up their minds very late, and they're driven by the personal characteristics of the candidates. But in this election, we got a second kind of undecided voter. I call it the unconvinced undecided. They are highly informed, they're well-educated, they tend to be in suburban areas and in metropolitan regions. They have the dynamic that you saw, that you described earlier. In this election, they tend to be more Republican than Democrat, and they don't like either candidate. 8 out of 10 of them, nearly 8 out of 10 of them have negative feelings about Donald Trump, and 8 out of 10 have negative feelings about Hillary Clinton. And it's going to be interesting to see how they come out in this thing, because they are more likely to participate in the election than the traditional undecided.
The conventional wisdom about undecided voters is that it's easy to overestimate their impact because most of them end up not voting. These people, according to the profile we get from this poll, look like the kind of people who do vote.
Absolutely. And they're sitting there waiting to get the right kind of signal to vote. Now, interestingly enough, Donald Trump has an easier avenue to get to them, in my opinion, not only because they tend to be more Republican. 48% of them say regardless of who gets elected president, they want a Republican Congress. 25% of them say regardless of who gets elected they want a Democratic Congress, so they look sort of like they're Republicans, soft Republicans in the suburbs. He has to reassure them that he's up to the job. She has got to persuade them that they ought to vote for her. Those are two different things. One where you've got to give sort of the message of, look, I realize we got differences, but at the end of the day, I'm the change agent that you can have confidence in. She's got to persuade them, look, I know you want change. I know you don't like me. I know you distrust me. But I know you're upset about the last 8 years, but you know what? Stay with us, continuity, because he's too extreme. A lot easier to do what he needs to do than what she needs to do.
In the end, Karl, it's occurred to me, as you suggest, that a lot of voters just don't want to vote for her. And that all other things being equal, this would be a year in which it would be a pretty easy task for a Republican to be elected. Donald Trump is proving that it's a difficult task. What does he basically, really have to do here to get these people, A, to vote, and B, to vote for him?
Well, look, it's like fine art. We know it when we see it, and I think Americans saw it in Mexico City. I thought that news conference afterwards was presidential. He was not angry. He was not pounding the table. He wasn't calling people names. He looked and acted and sounded like the president. I thought the event on Saturday morning in Detroit, there was a guy who looked like a president. Thursday night, where he is playing to the crowd and angry and out of control at times, that's the kind of thing that I think causes this group of unconvinced, undecideds to say, you know what, I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines a little bit more.
Well, with these numbers, Carl, it does look like there are plenty enough of them that they could decide the election either way, right?
Exactly. And look, in the last month, he has cut that lead from 7.9 to 3 points. And he has done so after 3 terrible weeks following the convention, and he has done so by moving those undecideds into his column. And the kind of people we're talking about are the people who fueled that movement that has closed the gap. More by leaving her than coming to him, but nonetheless coming to him.
Yeah, and I guess one of his worries has to be that those voters won't go to the other party candidates, which I guess is a possibility. Carl, thank you. Great to see you.
Great to see you.
Hope to see you again soon.
Absolutely.
A little later, we'll be joined by former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, who has advised Donald Trump on many things to discuss with him how the Republican nominee might prepare to debate Hillary Clinton. Stay with us. Today in Philadelphia, Donald Trump put some more meat on the bones of his campaign as he made what was billed as a major speech on military preparedness. Here's a little of what he said.
In 2010, the United States spent $554 billion on non-war-based defense spending. In the year, and I have to say, currently, we're spending $548 billion, a cut of 10%, and that number is going down very rapidly looking into the future, unless I become your president. This reduction was done through what is known as sequester, which you've all heard about, or automatic defense budget cuts. Under the budget agreement, defense took half of the cuts, even though it makes up only 1/6 of the budget, so they put it all in defense. As soon as I take office, I will ask Congress to fully eliminate the defense sequester and will submit a new budget to rebuild our military. It is so depleted. We will rebuild our military. We will build an active army of around 540,000. As the Army's Chief of Staff has said, he needs desperately and really must have to protect our country. We now have only 31 brigade combat teams, or 490,000 troops, and only 1/3 of combat teams are considered combat ready. That's not good for our country.
Here to discuss military preparedness and the Trump plan for it is an authority on the subject, retired Army General Bob Scales, author of a new book called Scales on War, The Future of America's Military at Risk. Bob, hi, good to see you.
Rick, good to be here.
First of all, give me if you can, the sense of what your book is getting at.
Yeah, my book is all about three numbers, Rick. 81, 4, and 1. In wars fought since the end of World War II, a period we call the American era of war, 81% of those who died at the hands of the enemy are made up of less than 4% of the total uniformed people in DOD, and they receive less than 1% of the budget. And these are close combat soldiers, infantrymen, not soldiers and Marines, infantrymen. And so, and oh, by the way, most of our enemies have been infantrymen, and the enemy knows, because they have a vote, that the surest way to end a war against the United States is to strike our vulnerable center of gravity, which is dead Americans. And so what I ask in the book, very simply, is this. If our close combat soldiers and Marines are most vulnerable, why don't we do more to protect those who are most likely to die?
Let's just look for a moment here, Bob, at the Trump proposal. Just some of the specifics of that active Army, 540,000, as you heard him say, Marine Corps based on 36 battalions, Navy approaching 350 surface ships and submarines, Air Force of at least 1,200 fighter aircraft. Are those the kinds of, is that the kind of thing we need to do, or is that emphasis in the wrong places?
It goes a long way to fixing the problem. You cannot defend the nation in our future wars. You can't even defeat ISIS with a ground combat force, soldiers and Marines and so on, that small, and an increase.
By the way, he wants to go to 540. What are we now?
About, well,
480?
490 going down to 450, and the Marines are at 24 combat battalions. He wants to raise it to 36. Right. In addition, I think he's going to increase special operating forces, who of course are elite fighting forces. All that's good. My only quibble with this idea is he hasn't talked about modernizing these forces. I mean, if we continue as we are now, my grandson will be commanding a battalion of Reagan-era tanks. So it's not just enough to increase numbers. We have to increase the quality of the force, and I'll guarantee you, the Russians and the Chinese are rapidly at work doing that very same thing.
Now, all this is going to cost a lot of money to do this. I mean, and the additional things that you think are needed. Do the things that he has described strike you? The policies he described as likely to finance that?
Boy, that's a good question. And what he suggests doing is cutting the federal bureaucracy to include the military bureaucracy. The question is this 40, 50 billion additional dollars, can you get that? Can you squeeze the orange that much to get that much juice out of it? I'm not sure about that, but I am sure that you cannot defend this nation on 2.5% of our GDP devoted to fighting our wars. You can't do it.
It would seem, General, that one thing we do need is a robust economy.
It all starts with that, doesn't it? Because if you increase the proportion of the budget to 3%, you grow the economy at 4.5% a year, we're going to make those numbers easily. If we don't, we're in trouble.
Bob Scales, great to see you.
Thank you for being here.
Back on the campaign trail, let's look at Arizona, where a new poll shows the state is a toss-up this election, even though a Democrat hasn't carried Arizona in 20 years. The Arizona Republic poll shows Clinton with a 1.6-point lead in a four-way race. That, of course, is well within the margin of error. That same poll found that fully 23% of Arizona voters have not made up their mind on which candidate they will vote for. We turn now to Arizona Republic political reporter Dan Nowicki. Dan, would you want to do some Arizona? Hi, Dan. What's going on out there?
Hi, Brett. Yeah, we have a new poll out. It just came out today, and it shows that Arizona is a toss-up. It's no longer the GOP stronghold that it has been since 1948. President Bill Clinton carried Arizona in 1996, but before that, you have to go way back to Harry Truman in 1948 before you found a Democrat who was able to win Arizona. This year, it's really close. Our poll showed Hillary Clinton leading Donald Trump by about a percentage point, so it really could go either way. About 23% undecided.
Right, I see. We talked about a 23% undecided. What is the cause of that? I mean, we just talked about the fact that there's an unusually high number of undecideds nationwide with Karl Rove. In Arizona, are there particular reasons for that? Is it the fact that people have misgivings about the candidates? What?
Well, I think the immigration issue is so important in Arizona. And Arizonans, despite its reputation sometimes, they really have a sophisticated view of immigration. And so some of the Trump policy proposals, like we're going to build a wall and have Mexico pay for it, that may play better around the country than it does here in Arizona.
So Arizonans who are hugely affected by immigration are not as excited about that proposal as the rest of the country. Well, that's interesting.
Right, because even though we get the impact, the negative impacts of illegal immigration, we also understand how it, works and fits into the economy. And in our same Arizona Republic poll that came out today, we asked some questions about immigration, and the majority of the voters did not like the idea of building a border wall, and they were very much opposed to the idea of kind of mass deportation of all the undocumented immigrants who are in the country now.
Now, how's John McCain doing? I mean, when I was out there not too many months ago, he was having a big fundraiser out there, and I saw about half the U.S. Senate in the hotel.
Well, fuck it then.
Because they think he's in trouble. Is he still in trouble? How's it going?
Well, I think Senator McCain is taking the race very seriously. It's going to be a close race. I think everyone's going to, it's kind of assuming it's going to be a single-digit race all the way till the end. I think McCain's a little bit better position now that he's gotten through his primary. For a while, he's taken a beating from the right and the left. And the Democrats are trying to time to Trump, and he was kind of being very delicate, doing a delicate dance there, because he didn't want to kick the hornet's nest of the Trump supporters before he got through his primary. but not actually behind him, as a general election, I think he's in much better shape.
The last poll I saw on the Senate race out there had it at about 8 points for McCain. Is that still the case?
I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption. There was a kind of a partisan poll that had it tied, and then there was a CNN poll that had kind of a bigger lead for McCain that most people kind of view as an outlier, so it's probably somewhere in between. So he's probably 7-8 points is probably where it's at.
Okay, Arizona state to watch. Dan, thanks very much.
Hey, thanks, Brett.
House Republicans are expanding their investigation into the firm that deleted large amounts of Hillary Clinton's emails after Congress had subpoenaed the material. Fox News Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herron is with us, and she is covering that story. Hi, Catherine. What do you know?
Thank you, Brett. Well, based on our reporting today, we were able to determine that really the key month in all of this is March of 2015. We've got a graphic here for you to look at the timeline. March 2nd is when the New York Times first reported that Clinton was using a personal email account. By the 3rd and 4th of that month,
So this is March 2nd of last year, right?
that's correct.
Okay.
By the 3rd and 4th, Congress had sent a preservation order for the Clinton emails, as well as a subpoena for the Clinton
And
emails.
did that go to that firm, the IT firm?
By March 9th, the IT firm Platte River Networks in Colorado had been notified that there was a preservation order. Then on March 25th, Clinton's legal team, so that's David Kendall and Cheryl Mills, have a conference call with the IT firm in Colorado. And then on the 31st, the IT firm deletes the archive backup of Clinton's emails. And so the case the Republicans are making is that there was an order to preserve the records, a conference call by Clinton's lawyers, and then the records are deleted.
Right now, when that preservation order was issued, to whom was it issued?
It was issued to the Clintons, to the State Department, and then also to the IT management firm in Colorado.
That firm, if I'm not mistaken, is called Platte River?
Correct,
Right.
that's correct.
All right, so Platte River had notice of this.
Had notice, correct.
So it clearly had to apply to that, right?
This is the issue for the obstruction, and this committee is so serious about the issue, they are prepared to subpoena the engineer from that firm and bring them to Washington.
Now, that engineer was interviewed by the FBI, was he
That's
not?
correct, but the name is redacted.
So we don't know who it is. They must know.
The FBI knows, but not even the committee knows, and they're demanding that that be at least released to them so that they can issue a subpoena if that's required.
Now, if I assume that the suspicion on the part of the committee members is that this was done after having a subpoena had been issued or was about to be issued and a notification going out to hold on to the documents, that would amount to obstruction of justice, the destruction of them, right?
That's right.
So, what's the next? Now, so where do we go from here?
They have the Congressional Committee, the Oversight Committee, has to move very quickly because, as you can appreciate, they're now up against a very tight timeline. They've got to get all of this accomplished, or whatever progress they can make, really by the end of September, because come October, everyone's going to be out campaigning. So they are moving very quickly on this issue, and the FBI director is also going to be back on the Hill to testify about the investigation.
You know when that might be?
I believe it's the 3rd week of September. Everything's moving. It's like a train moving down the track very quickly.
There's a lot of trains run down a lot of congressional tracks in my experience, and sometimes they derail or they sometimes never get where they're going. Captain, thanks very much. New concerns over how easily this year's election might be, to use a quote, rigged. Our political panel will be here to discuss that next. Also, the first presidential debate is just 19 days away. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, is here to discuss how Republican candidate Donald Trump may be getting ready for that big debate. Straight ahead.
On the Record is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Liberty stands with you.
You owned your car for 4 years. You named it Brad. You loved Brad. And then you totaled him. You two had been through everything together. 2 boyfriends, 3 jobs. You're like, nothing can replace Brad. Then Liberty Mutual calls. And you break into your happy dance.
If you sign up for better car replacement, we'll pay for a car that's a model year newer with 15,000 fewer miles than your old one. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Imagine the indescribable joy of winning $7,000 a week for life. It's worth $7,000 every week for the rest of your life.
Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines, 24/7, Channel 115.
I am with you. I will fight for you. And I will win for you.
Attention, fellow Trump supporters. Help Mr. Trump win the presidency by picking up the phone right now to add your name to pledge to defeat Hillary and elect Donald Trump. Call 1-800-785-1615 to help elect Donald Trump. And call in the next 5 minutes to get your free Trump pen sticker. Again, that's 1-800-785-1615 or sign online at pledgeyourname.org. Paid for by Liberty Action Group PAC.
If you are told you have a heart condition, the first thing you should do is get a second opinion from the top-ranked heart care team in the nation. Cleveland Clinic has been ranked #1 for 22 years in a row.
This is unlike any place where we have ever been before. It really is patients first.
The best heart care in the nation is closer than you think. Call today to arrange your second opinion or talk with a heart nurse. We're available 24/7. Call Cleveland Clinic at 844-266-0669.
New concerns tonight over the possibility of a rigged election right here in the U.S. Earlier today, Defense Secretary Ash Carter warned Russia to stay out of the U.S. election. The FBI, meanwhile, is currently investigating allegations that the Russians hacked the Democratic National